program me to be wild. Somebody take a tenor and pull it up with water. Next thing I know, I hear a splash all over. Vibration was really weird. Panorama in my head. This began a potent musical alignment of the music have alignment. That's why I know Pan is the jumbie. Pan is the jumbie. It's in Pan they bless me. As soon as a Pan play, the simply slap way. Like a maribone, my skin start to raise. Pan is my jumbie. Jumping is fun way control me. When the tail begin to pan like a peacock, please understand I am a jumpy for plan.
Lauren, you didn't see last episode that on PanFusion?
Yeah, that was very good. You see the role of the Panyard in the community is getting real crucial now with the youths and them to keep them out of trouble.
That's a different than your Panyard because we have to work hard to get the band on the road and get a little change for the first after Carnival.
That's what they should really look at in the next program, the economics of Pan and where the money does really come from.
Well, I don't think that is established. Whether it was Panmen that went to the companies or the companies came to them. I would think that it would have been the Panmen going to them. In those days, you know, that was the late 50s, okay? It was a straight case of paint and instruments, right? Paint, t-shirts and instruments. That is what sponsorship was. The fees for the technicians in the orchestra, like the tuner and the arranger and so on, that wasn't part of sponsorship in those days. Simply because the sponsors, the steel bands at that time all had resident arrangers and resident tuners who were they were both parts of the band. That began to change in the late 60s. It began to change with Highlanders, the band that I was manager of. And we had demanded that the tuner, Bertie Marshall, although he was resident tuner, that he would get what he would normally tune for a band outside, well, not Highlanders, that he would quote that fee and then give a discount since it was his band. And I remember that was a breakthrough. And then it was really Desperados and Rudolph Charles who took sponsorship to a new level, which moved from the paint and t-shirt assistants and drum assistants to paint technicians, all right, the arrangers and the tuners. And in fact, Rudolph took that to a very high level, very, very high level. The tuners and the arrangers were specialist people who need to be paid specialist fees. And he got his sponsor to agree to that. So I'm suggesting that, one, it was a deliberate, I suppose, influence or call on the business community to get more involved, right? I also think that some businessmen would have seen good business in supporting something that was so popular amongst the rank and file of society. I mean, if you look at some of the companies that were involved from the start, you had Coca-Cola, you had Pan Am, okay? Then you had Shell Invaders, you had Texaco West Stars, and so on and so on and so on. In other words, the major multinational companies got involved, and that was good for their image in the society, okay? If together with that, one could say that because of sponsorship and their assistance, they were causing the steel band men to change their image into one more acceptable society, then that is even a better, what one might call corporate citizen image, that they were making that major contribution to society.
It must be really nice being a sponsored band, but especially big sponsors like Amaco and Courts.
I think it will be easy to be looking for money all over the place every year.
I like our band to be a sponsored band, but turn for the get and go with a sponsor.
When we go to speak with our sponsors, they always make us feel welcome. And the feeling you get is that they love the band, they love the culture.
We became involved in 1970 when there was some what people call an uprising. You know, the country was a bit unsettled, and we were asked to offer some assistance, whatever we could, to this band. We were invited to do so, and we accepted, And we got together and looked at the band's requirements and ended a contract. And we have renewed that contract successfully for 23 years now.
The current president, Mr. David White, over the carnival season there, he came to the Panyard to hear us practice when we took part in the competitions, the various legs of the competition. He came to the yard every night and he would help us push the pan racks up to the savannah. What greater expression of caring you could have, than that.
So I think the musicians themselves are the greatest sponsors of pan music because they do it all for free, out of a love for it. So we just working with these members of the band to produce, to give the public music, the kind of music that they like. Our sponsorship is to help the band with the basic necessities, for tuners, for instruments, for arrangers fee on a regular. That's our commitment. We try to help them also with the development of the facilities in their Panyard, and we have that commitment. Any extra money that they make, that's revenue for themselves.
As sponsors, we have a very important obligation to them to carry their name proudly and strongly at all times. I think that's the biggest part of it, that being a sponsor.
And the cost of producing that band is very high, because the pans have to be tuned and blended on a regular basis. So the recurrent cost could be anything like close to $200,000. The way we manage our sponsorship is to ensure that the members of the band, the executive committee and the players of the band at all times are comfortable and confident that the band Renegades belongs to them and not to Amoco.
I don't want to call a figure, but I would like to suggest 80% of Steelband men are unemployed. Now, I can't see a sponsor gaining from his association with a steel band or not addressing that issue. Okay? So that I'm saying the musicians, employment has to be found for them. The marketing of the bands internationally, there's a new role for the sponsor. Producing things like CDs and other videos and so on, which could be marketed abroad. All these things are things that sponsors could address.
Our approaches to Potential Symphony is a little bit different than most sponsors, and that is that Royal Castle has never sponsored Potential Symphony as a marketing tool. Yes, of course, the obvious is there, and that yes, you are promoted as Royal Castle Potential Symphony. We were the first sponsors to put, for argument's sake, our players on our retainer to practice for a CD in which we are producing. We hired Ken Professor Fillmore, who I respect to be the best arranger in Trinidad, to join the band prepared for the CD. We have amplified our bands and outside performances to add a professional approach. Basically, it is for the bands to start generating money for the band, for the people of the band, rather than for the mileage of panoramas. When Royal Castle joined Potential Symphony, I was asked to be the manager of the band. I undertook this responsibility only because I believe that a lot of pan sites, a lot of steel band organizations lack professional management at a high corporate level. Because of my love for pan, did I decide to get that much involved with it, to become the manager of Royal Castle Potential Symphony, to work with them in negotiating contracts for studio, for trying to get their Panyard into a better state, almost a family entertainment ground. It really is the love for pan and music.
when Quartz entered a joint venture with Huggins, we got a lot of applications from various unsponsored steel band requesting sponsorship. It was a very difficult task at the beginning since we thought that everyone really needed the sponsorship. But we had discussions with the Laventil song specialist, one out of them, and we really found that the discussions did prove fruitful both for the company and for the group. We have hopes of developing the paniard and having it refurbished, but as you know, one step at a time. The paniard has been painted already in the Quartz colors and all the steel bands have been painted, but we have intentions of refurbishing the ring. A long-term plan is that we intend for the steel band to travel to the other Quartz Caribbean countries.
First thing we are looking at when we work with a band is to start to get them to understand that nothing is for nothing. When a sponsor supports a band, he supports the band because he wants to do it. He expects publicity, he expects them to support the products, he expects them to support the sort of ideologies of the corporation, he expects them to sell the company's image. I think as sponsors we are there to just provide the embryo stage of development. It is now a nucleus of people to get together and say, where are we going to carry ourselves? We can't carry where you don't want to go. We could only show you the way.
National Quarries is a state enterprise, and since the duration of the sponsorship, which began in 1984 or at the end of 1983, what has happened is that the government has changed 3 times from PNM to NAR back to the PNM, and being a state enterprise, these boards are government appointed, and from time to time you have people coming and going. Within their scope, they have given us substantial assistance, you know what I mean? Because plenty steel bands can't survive without that kind of financial injection, you know, but somehow, somewhere down the road, we have to face reality and look at what could happen with the company, you know, and we have to look more at self-reliance.
Sponsorship has been very, very important to the development of the steel band in the modern period. Okay? I cannot think of any steel band or any group of people at that level of society being able to find $250,000, which is what is basically a normal size steel band now, starting from scratch. You cannot think of it with less than $250,000. So the support from the financial sector, or those who have money, has been vital. The negative aspects to me, one, is the question of how it has affected the band's motivation for self-help. Okay? If you take bands like, for instance, Cranberry is a glowing example, who have operated all these years and reached very close to the top without a sponsor, you'll see a remarkable self-help effort that has become culture in an organization like that. A lot of the bands who have become trained and accustomed to having a sponsor, they have lost that drive and motivation.
PanFusion just started as an idea from Exodus to raise funds. So we came up with this idea that would be a steel band competition that would be attractive enough to get corporate sponsorship and design in such a way that we could create some excitement in the steel band movement and encourage bands, a large number of bands, to take part. We looked at what was available, and in terms of steel band competitions, we already have the big one being Panorama and then the biennial steel band festival. So we tried to find a slot, and we found a slot of what we call a small steel band, and we saw some benefits in that small size steel band to do something that the other competitions are not doing.
The sponsors are there to give, first of all, advice where it is needed and to provide the much needed funds, because the prize monies are all monies coming from the sponsors. The gate receipts are the things that come to Exodus. So in general, we have no overhead. This is, the whole thing is underwritten by the sponsors, and we collect the gate receipts. The band members do not get any payment from the Ramajé. It is an effort, a service of love, and all the monies go right back into the band for the running of the band for any particular year.
Small bands, gotta have a good beggar. I want to beg. You wanna get top tuners, you wanna get good pan. So the thing is money, you're gonna have money. Alright? Try and do things yourself.
Chizambe is a registered cooperative. The cooperative board in the past 4 years. So we involved in Steelband, in the arts, trades. We try to get ourselves involved in all different, more or less to create a kind of employment for our members.
This area is a very small area. This is Victoria Village. This village just has about 400 or 500 people. There's no real business firms around this area. You more get basically like restaurants and these things. When we seeking assistance, we mostly have to go direct in the city, central. Well, this band is a community band. We do a lot of give shows, we run a little barbecue, raffles and so. Try to make the best of it with a little assistance from small firms.
It's an uphill task being an unsponsored band in this society we live in today. In terms of, we try our best, we go to these people, like business firms, whatever.
The businessmen supposed to get up and do something about unsponsored band. It have proper administration in some bands, but finances is very important, because to bring a steel band to go Panama, you have to spend basically over 60 to 90 or $100,000. And that's no easy thing, because the tuning, the arranging, the racks, the stands and all these things coming, it costs a lot of money. And if people get to really understand this culture, they know that they have to help steel bands that is in the way out.
We commit ourselves in terms of like, maybe we go to the bank, this is the direction we have to take. We go to the bank, and try to maybe get a loan.
We're talking about profit and how we could uplift steel band, as first of all in your own country and then abroad.
Start making the money on your own. Don't depend on if you're looking for money that you have to wait on NCC or you have to wait on the government to get money, because if you had that money, all panmen, all these thousands of panmen stagnated. That's a waste of time. The instrument far bigger than that. We all talk about Andy Norrell. And we all seem to dislike Andy Norrell. But what Andy Norrell is doing is what we don't do, or what probably we still need to learn a lot. I'm talking about panmen and the body itself, Pan Trinbago. Marketing. He came to Trinidad, which I know he was playing the instruments since he was small, through early Manet and whatnot. But he came to Trinidad and see that we love a phenomenal thing, which is Panorama. And we're very, very prestigious competition. And he saw the instrument, he saw the instrument a lot greater and bigger than that. He took the instrument, he composed music, he takes calypso music and fuses it, put it within a jazz line, and makes tremendous money. Now the whole world knows who's Andy Norrell, but the whole world even know where Pan was born.
When we start talking about going international, we have to start thinking a lot bigger. We have to really open our minds, and we have to find serious money to be able to invest, which means that somebody somewhere has to have the confidence of knowing that what we're investing will be an investment that will pay back for itself.
And we have not been able to capture the market out there, right? And that is because, one, we don't have a national attitude towards the pan. In other words, we have embassies, we have the Trinidad and Tobago Tourism Development Authority. They should be really selling pan to the world. You understand what I'm saying? And when them do that, it becomes easier for us at the bottom here then.
What do we expect of it? Where do we want to see it go? And how long are we prepared to wait for that? When Pan Trinbago or the Pan movement can answer that clearly and articulate that in a positive way to the total population, without any double meaning, Pan will fly like it never fly before.
Yeah, on the radio, division also. Fancy man keep saying the small man raising dust. Guitars and cello, arrangement also. Song is so heavenly, people want to know. Are they from Lavanti or deep in the city? Everyone I ask answering the same. This is a small band from the crazy. They hope to get a sponsor some today. Look, there is indeed us again. First they start up with the intro, then the rhythm start to level, then the verse and chorus follow, then the variation comes through. Now they go into the minor, then they raise the key up higher. By this time you stay on fire, just for so in the savannah. They raise it dust in the panorama. They raise it dust, they're doing it again. They raise it dust, spreading music fever. They raise it dust, you better pray for rain. And everybody jumping up, the panorama getting hot. Man oh my hugging up, doing it again, baby. Boys and jumping up, the bandstand wouldn't stop. The whole by jumping up, they raising dust again. Once more this small band causing confusion. It's good for the band man buried, it comes to concluding sing. See the commentary, Pat Bishop speaks freely. She points out the small band sounds like a symphony. It is such a pity, those bands from the city, for so many years they had a monopoly. With objective judging and no one conniving, another band from East could win it again. So look out for this band from the crazy, victory going to find them some good day. Look, there is indeed us again. First they start up with the intro, then the rhythm start to level, then the verse and chorus follow, then the variation comes so. Now they go into the minor, then they raise the key up higher. By this time the stage on fire, just for so in the savannah. They raise it dust in the panorama. They raise it dust, they're doing it again. They raise it dust, spreading music fever. They raise it dust, you better pray for rain. Sergei.